Greetings, Holy Ones. I am Fabian with ChristosAvatar.com, and today we'll be talking about what is a dimension, and more specifically, what is the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, and also way beyond up into the 15th dimension. Also about what are dimensional subfrequency bands, and also what are the 5 density universes of matter, and a little bit about ultra microparticles, which are pre-particles compared to what you have been told about quarks and atoms and all that. So now I have placed time codes in the video description below. So if any of you want to skip right to the parts about dimensions, please do so. But for the rest of you, I will first lead up to that point in the beginning, to explain a few things first, such as Merkaba Mechanics, about running frequency through your body, okay, the holographic universe, how to use, how to develop those psychic energies where you can see through walls, and information about time cycles and time continuum. These are the things that we'll be talking about today in this video. So thank you for being here, and consider subscribing to this channel if you like what you hear and want to learn more about spiritual awakening, because that's what all of this technical, scientific, sacred spiritual science stuff is about. It's about your spiritual ascension, and all of this is relevant to that. That's why I'm explaining through all these things, so you will realize, this is how you get there. So we're going to be breaking down the framework of this reality, including universal anatomy, which you will discover is also reflected in the personal anatomy. Okay, it's like where each one of us is what you call a microcosm of the macrocosm. You may have heard that before. And instead of using that word anatomy, we will start using the word Templar, which is reference to chakras. And chakras are, vortices of dimensional energy, which we're talking about, dimensions, and which we'll get into, but also just remember, chakra is a Hindu word. The Guardians prefer the word Templar, which is also reference to stargates. Now, Templar equals stargates, which are doorways to other dimensions of reality, dimensional energy. So Stargate mechanics are what we're really learning here, which translate absolutely directly into the universal Templar, the galactic Templar, the planetary Templar, and your personal Templar. These will get into, by the end of the video series, what's called Merkaba Mechanics. But this is Merkaba like you have never been taught, okay? Well, there's a couple of other Merkaba teachers out there, and let's just say there are little Merkaba vehicles, and there are big ones. We're going to be, teaching you about the big ones, because they direct the little ones. And we'll teach you about Merkabas really is, because that word gets bounced around a lot over the place, in the New Age movement. And I've had a few people say, okay, I've done this. I've been doing Merkaba exercises from so-and-so for 3 years now. What actually is Merkaba? So they've been doing the exercises. That's what they teach you, but nobody taught them exactly what is Merkaba. And Merkaba is just a word that people have been using in the New Age movement, falsely, to say, oh, it's just a vehicle of light and sound that the ascended masters can use to move from one dimension to another. As if only ascended masters have Merkaba vehicles. Okay, they fail to tell you that Merkaba fields are in everything. A Merkaba vehicles are an intrinsic part of all matter structures. They're in your DNA as well as surrounding your body. Okay, so what we're going to learn here is going to take us, by the end of this video series, to where we understand what Merkaba really is, okay, and how to use it properly. Because Merkaba mechanics, Merkaba healing, is one of the most powerful forms of healing, when it's based on the divine blueprint science. Now, this is what I've been talking to you guys about. Now, divine blueprint healing implies using the D12, dimension 12, divine blueprint, which we all have, which everything has, and the currents associated with it. Now, when you combine that with true knowledge of Merkaba, you come out with some, well, very powerful healing technologies. Now, we won't talk a lot about Merkaba much today, but we will for sure by the end of the video series. This is all leading to that six-pointed star tetrahedron. Okay? Now, as far as the important things that are going to get you to be able to begin the hands-on process where you are not just learning about the structure, you start to run frequency in your bodies. Okay? Now we start to do technique, and that's the body of this course. It helps a lot, though, to first understand what you are doing when you do technique. Actually understand these mechanics. So you don't just say, oh, it's just another meditation to run frequency. You got millions of those out in the New Age movement, okay? Here, you will know exactly what these techniques are for. So when you do them, you'll do them with conviction, because you know you are doing something important with these body systems, your own body systems. No thing is truly manifest, appears physical. It only appears to be so due to the refraction of consciousness within the energetic relationships inherent to this holographic template, So the holographic template, what I've been talking about, that is the template upon which the hologram of matter, all of this, what is this? It's a hologram, okay? And you are part of the hologram of matter, and so is everything else, that you perceive, So what's very interesting is that it's all stationary. Space and time, it doesn't actually move. Time doesn't move forward. It's actually just all sits in the same place, but appears to move because of the interaction of energy through the fixed templates of matter. External reality is a holographic projection. Now, I'm going to be introducing you to the ultra microparticles. Okay, these are the particles that mainstream science doesn't know they are there yet, but they are actually, you would describe them as pre-particles. They are the things that happen before what we call particles. And there's three pre-particles, and they are called Partiki, Partike, and Particum. And instead of thinking of these physical particles, think of them as the smallest units of energy, because you realize we're in a hologram. These are energy substance, units of consciousness. They are the building blocks of what you call morphogenetic fields. We'll go over those too later in this course. And their matter and their individuated conscious identity. So then these things, they operate as minute perpetual motion, like fusion generators. New words, right? New vocabulary. But these are not imaginary pre-particles that we just made up words for, okay? They're actual units of consciousness that exist as the first foundation, building blocks of all matter. I mean, you thought atoms were the first foundation, but there's these pre-particles in all dimensions of matter throughout this 15-dimensional, system of reality, that all of the structures, they build up the matter, okay, of all the structures in the hologram. They're all composed of these ultra micro particles of consciousness. Everything's alive. Partike, Partiki, and Particum, they create these dimensional frequency bands that are flashing on and off, okay, at different rhythms, different speeds, like the bands of frequency of, different radio stations. Each one is a different frequency bandwidth. For example, in my city, there's 39 different radio stations in my city, which is 39 different frequency bands, ranging from the 88 to 108 megahertz. You turn the station FM, you can tune a radio to a specific frequency band, one of these, and listen to your favorite music. You can easily change the frequency up or down and change the station to a different frequency band. And this concept is similar to what dimensions of reality are. Each dimension is another radio station, okay, that you turn to. Dimensions are specific structures of consciousness composed of these Partiki units, each with differing vibratory oscillation rates. Okay, so just imagine them flashing off and on like a light bulb, and each dimension represents a full frequency band, which are synchronized, cyclic, repeated sequences of flashing on and off, to create this universal reality framework upon which external space and time and like the matter experience can be known. Dimensions are ordered into sets of 15, so forming this blueprint for a 15-dimensional time matrix. Now, we perceive as solid the dimensional band that exists like one level below, which our consciousness is stationed. Okay? So since we're perceiving like the third dimension, right, as solid, it means our consciousness is stationed in the fourth dimension. And this is also related to how many like strands of DNA you have. This is what your spiritual work is about. If your consciousness is in the fourth dimension, okay, your body's here, then you have 4 strands of DNA. If your consciousness was in the fifth, your consciousness dimension, it would mean that you had 5 strands of DNA. This is why you need to focus like on developing your next strand of DNA so you can ascend. These aren't just lofty concepts. This is actual spiritual science. You want to ascend to the next higher dimension of reality. You do this through energy. You do this through a spiritual path. Now, this is very interesting because if you want to see what's in the fifth dimension, in other words, if you want to like visit like the fifth dimension and experience it as a physical reality like we do here now in the 3D, well, it implies you have dimension 6 consciousness, which implies that you have 6 DNA strands activated. That's what we say DNA activation for. You're activating these chakras, these DNA. So this is the beginning of understanding what consciousness is doing when it perceives, as well as understanding the greater framework that we all exist within to the manifest hologram, within, to be the manifest hologram. So consciousness is experiencing the hologram in different dimensions of frequency. The hologram is an illusion. Like virtual reality, it's all not real things you seeing. The form and matter and density and some space are illusions within this hologram, perceptual illusions that can take place when consciousness moves itself within certain dimensional structures, energy structures. It's dimensional. It's dimensions of like varying frequency, bandwidths. That's what that flash on, flash off, different, speeds that allow us to perceive the hologram. And that's very, very solid when you're focused in it, and until you learn how to play with it, it becomes like less and less solid. And you realize, well, you're sitting in the middle of the hologram platform. That gets fun. That takes a while. Usually about 4.5 strand activation, above the heart chakra, between the throat and heart chakra, before you can sit in a room and it comes on you, kind of like a breeze, where you start to, did I catch that? Did the walls actually do this for a second? So yes, they did. You were starting to see through the frequency bands that are making up the solid form, kind of like Lucy did in that movie, because your consciousness is jumping up to another level, just like she did in that movie. So you are starting to see that the matter forms are not as solid, as they appear. So there's a lot of things that we have to look forward to. Some things will make your hair and stand up on end, right? It can get really scary, but as long as you know that your avatar consciousness is with you, that's who you are up there now when these things are happening, even if you don't know, what to do with it. But your avatar does, and you'll be okay. You are being trained, and your consciousness is being stretched. Your perceptions are being stretched through DNA activating. You're feeling experiences, symptoms, stages. And all of us indigo children are. You're a starseed. So if you start to get weird effects like that, weird effects are part of the norm when we are expanding our consciousness, like now during the Stargate opening cycle. okay, into like a multidimensional consciousness, back into our avatar self. That is what our identity is. That's what we're going back to. So technically, we have a 15-dimensional hologram system. These 15 dimensions are a spectrum of frequency bands. The lowest dimension is dimension 1 out of this whole spectrum, which has the slowest. The lower you go, the slower it is. Okay, the slower frequency bandwidth. As you go up the spectrum of dimensions, each progressive dimension is a faster frequency band. Like that, like the radio stations, it keeps going different frequency. We're talking about actual literal speed. So dimension 2 is faster than dimension 1. Dimension 3 is faster than dimension 2. Dimension 4 is faster than dimension 3. And that continues like all the way up to the dimension 15. So also these dimensions are like grouped into like sets of 3, okay? Trinities of dimensions. A set of 3 dimensions creates a separate reality field, separate from the other reality fields, other trinities of dimensions, okay? For example, the first 3 dimensions, the first trinity is dimension 1, dimension 2, and dimension 3. They group together, okay, to form a separate reality field, which is called a density universe. This one's density universe 1. That's, the dimension 4 and dimension 5 and dimension 6. They group together to form the next reality field called density universe 2. And dimensions 7, 8, and 9, they form density universe 3. Dimensions 10, 11, and 12 form density universe 4. And finally, dimensions 13, 14, and 15 form density universe 5. Excuse me. So we are currently existing at the lowest level in density universe 1. And we think we're so powerful and mighty and arrogant and ego. But this is our reality field, our universe. 1 out of 5. Okay? And we are experiencing the frequency bandwidths of dimension 1, 2, and 3 out of 15. So let's start with dimension 1, way at the bottom. Okay? And sometimes I'm going to be showing on the screen these actual structure here. But dimension 1 has its own frequency band within itself. Okay? The lowest and slowest frequency band. These dimensions combine and build on each other. For example, dimension 2 would be slightly faster frequency band, and while it has its own frequency band within itself, it also includes like the frequency band of dimension 1. Okay, here's dimension 1, dimension 2. Well, dimension 2 has both. Okay, the same goes with dimension 3, which is the next faster frequency band, which includes within itself dimension 1 and dimension 2 and itself dimension 3. Okay, so the higher you get, the more strands you have inside your own DNA that's already included, because you already lived these lives, you've already been in these dimensions. So each dimensional frequency is also broken down in 12 subfrequencies. So each one has 12 inside of itself. Okay, so dimension 1 has 12 subfrequency bands, but dimension 2 would have 24 subfrequency bands. Dimension 3 would have 36 subfrequency bands. So, these make up the carbon-based density universe 1. Okay, density universe 2 does the same thing, except their energies are twice the speed of density 1. So, these are the physics, unified field physics. So, if you take that all the way up, the 15-dimensional scale, what you're getting is 5 density sets of matter, made of these 3 dimensions each. Each sequential is moving faster. So dimensions 1, 2, and 3 would have this, the slowest combined flashing rhythm, which is the Partiki phasing rhythm, fission, fusion, on, off. So we'll explain more of that in detail, but the particle phasing. But dimensions 4, 5, and 6, they go together, and they would have the next faster, they would be faster than the one below it, but not as fast as the next 3 above it. Okay? This is creating a framework in which 5 separate reality fields coexist in the same space. They are only separated by their faster or slower rhythm. Each of the 5 density universes within the time matrix represents a period of time called a time cycle. When you're actually moving consciousness through, it will take you time to get through that cycle. Okay, a time cycle is fixed, and it's a repeating cycle in density 1 of Earth. Each time cycle is 26,556 years. Once this period of time is over, then a new time cycle starts at the beginning. So our Earth drama is currently on the third time cycle, times 26,556 years. One dimension is equivalent to 8,852 years. And all of the cycles of time are fixed and repeating. And there are 5 simultaneous manifesting time cycles in every time matrix because of those 5 different densities, universes. So through which consciousness passes in order to experience linear evolution through space, time, and matter. You're ascending up and up and up through the different densities. So each time cycle contains within it 6 smaller cycles of time called time continuum. So we break it down. So if you want to learn more about these different time cycles, please take a look, whichever side, to my time matrix video that I will link above, because it goes in way more detail. And this is the first part of the breakdown of our time matrix and dimensions. Since there is so much information to cover, I am breaking it down in a couple of videos, a couple of parts. So the next video is going to be the second part, actually the main part. And so you definitely want to continue to the next part, because we're going to be discussing what is God, the Ascended Masters, the base 12 number system, the energy matrix, also called the Kundalini, the primal light fields, also called the Kirashe. These are references to energy, life force energy, and about the blue flame, gold flame, and the popular violet flame, and also about what's called the antimatter universe and the solar rishi that live there. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting. So I'll see you in the next video in this series. Peace. Namaste, holy ones. Akachiwa. See you.